it's Sierra, and in this video I thought it might be interesting to talk about our breastfeeding journey. So my baby is 11 weeks old today, and I feel like we've officially got it figured out. I mean, things could change, but I feel like we're in a pretty good spot right now. So I'm just working on getting him down for a nap, but in the meantime, if you are not yet subscribed, I make videos about home and lifestyle and now motherhood, and I try to get up one video a week. So if you're not yet subscribed, make sure to do that, and then we will get into this video. Alright, so I can usually get him to sleep for longer if I'm either holding him or if we're out on a drive, and since I want to talk to you guys about this pump, I got him loaded up in the car and he's sleeping, so hopefully he will stay asleep. So I just pulled into a random parking lot of this business. I really hope that no one comes out right now. So I just threw my Momcozy M5 pump into this little carrying case that it comes with. So this pump was gifted to me, but it's not like sponsored or anything. It's just my honest review, and it is becoming my favorite pump. So I'm just gonna quickly put it together right now. So it comes with this piece that collects the milk, and you put this little rubber piece in here. I think that this is what like creates the suction, and then this other piece has another little rubber piece. I don't know what this one does, but it sucks on there too. Then you just push these together so you know it's together when like the heart is lined up, and just make sure it's all sealed off. It also came with a bunch of these different size flanges so that you make sure you have the right size. So you just insert it in the middle there, and this piece is what you charge, and then you just push it on top here. And then all of the control buttons are here at the top. So then you just stick it in your bra, and then you can use these buttons to select whatever setting you want and the intensity. You can even like pause it, and if you push the button, it'll tell you like how long you've been pumping for, which I really like that feature. So I'm just gonna pop these in and do a little drive, and hopefully he will stay asleep the whole time. So I'm really bummed because I had a Body Armor drink and a little protein bar that I was gonna bring to snack on while I'm pumping, because I do think that that kind of helps with my supply, but I left it on the counter, so we will see how much I get right now. I also did nurse him just for a few minutes on the left side just to get him to fall asleep. Oh no. Alright, so I got these on. He is back asleep, so let's get back on the road. We'll just drive around a little bit, and then when I get home, I'll check back in with you guys and we'll see how much milk I'm able to pump. Alright, so he woke up as soon as I pulled into the garage, so I just had to feed him a bottle that I had in the fridge, and now I can just replace that bottle with whatever we were able to pump. So there's a little hole at the top here, so you can just kind of keep it all together, or at least I always just like keep it together and then just pour it in like this. Oops, I'm spilling a little bit. You have to make sure that it's like fully sealed, or else it'll leak out of the sides. Okay, so I only got 1.5 ounces out of that side, but like I mentioned, I was nursing him a little bit on that side just to get him to fall asleep, so that's not like surprising. Another thing I do is take it all apart, and then sometimes you can get like a couple more drops of milk out just by like taking it all apart, and then milk gets like out of the little crevices or whatever. Now we'll do the other side. Like I said, you want to make sure it's all sealed before you pour it so that nothing leaks out. I've been doing 3.5 ounce bottles, so that filled up that one, and there's a little bit more in here that I'll have to put in another bottle. Okay, there's maybe a 1/2 ounce in there. So not too bad, not the best pump, but I wasn't really expecting it to be, especially because I like wasn't eating or drinking anything before. So anyway, I've been really happy with this pump from Momcozy. If you were to ask me like what pump you should get if you are pregnant and gonna be a first-time mom, I would seriously recommend this one. I have been like using it the most out of all of my pumps. It's just so nice that you can pop them in, you can do whatever you need to do, like go on a drive like I just did, or clean your house, or hold your baby, and there's not like tubes or cords in the way. And I think it does a really good job, like with those extra flanges it comes with. I feel like it gets a really good suction, and so it's actually like a really good output for like a portable pump. People say that like a hands-free pump doesn't get as much milk as one that like plugs into the wall or is like hospital grade, I guess you would say. But I feel like it does a really good job, so I've been very, very happy with it. What you thinking? Doing this? Okay, my husband was just watching him so I could film that, but he just had to get in the shower because he like just got home from work and is dirty. So we're gonna do our best here so that I can finish this video while I have Liam. Okay, he was having some issues with reflux, so I had to take care of that. Then I had to make dinner, and so I was like, I just need to put this video on pause until my husband can just like be with him for a little bit. Anyway, he is with his dad now, and I just really want to get this video out about my experience with breastfeeding up until 11 weeks now, because I was not prepared for how much of a challenge breastfeeding was going to be. I feel like when I was pregnant, so many people were warning me about like how little sleep I was gonna get and other things, but no one really talked to me about breastfeeding. I think it's just one of those things where if you have a good and easy experience with it, then you like love to talk about it, and then if you have more of a difficult situation, you don't talk about it as much. And I think that's just because it's something that you expect to come so naturally, and when it is a struggle, you feel like a little bit of guilt and shame about it, so you like don't really want to talk about it as much. At least that's what I think is happening, because I was like really naive to how hard this is. So whether you choose to breastfeed your baby, and whether you do nursing or pumping, or if you choose to do formula, there is absolutely no judgment from me for however you feed your baby, because I actually do all of those things, and I feel like there are challenges with every method, so it's all hard. But let's just kind of talk about how I even got to this place of like combination feeding, because I feel like there's also not a lot of people talking about combo feeding, and it's mostly like, oh, I exclusively nurse, or I exclusively pump, or I just do formula. And so I just didn't even really realized that doing this like combo feeding thing was even an option, and it's actually working out really well for me. Let's talk about how I got here, starting with the day my baby was born. So you can go and watch my birth story if you are interested, but essentially I had a natural birth in a birth center. I was in labor for 16 hours, and it was just really hard for me. So by the time it was time to try to get my baby to latch and nurse him, I was just so exhausted. I could seriously barely keep my eyes open to stay awake. So I just like didn't really know like what was happening, but I knew like we were struggling, and we thought maybe it was because my milk hadn't come in yet. So we also tried pumping, and like nothing would come out. And so the nurses and midwives thought that I just needed to rest and like get a good meal in me. So I wasn't like too concerned about it, and we did decide just to feed him a little bit of formula. So at the time I didn't think anything of it, and I was totally fine with doing that. Looking back on it, I wish I would have been prepared with either having donor milk, like donor breast milk, or like a formula that I had like researched and felt comfortable about, because I'm not really thrilled with the formula that we gave him in the beginning, but I just like didn't know any better, and I also thought it was gonna be like temporary for like a day or two, and so I didn't think it was like that big of a deal. So by the time it was ready for us to go home, we still hadn't like latched properly, and they noticed that my baby had a tongue tie. So I have another video where I kind of talk a little bit about the tongue tie, but we did have like the tongue tie and also a lip tie like lasered, and I can get into that a little bit, but they also set us up with a lactation consultant that started coming to our house like a couple times a week. So my biggest advice to all new moms is to get a lactation consultant, and I would even meet with them before you even have your baby, because they can help you like get familiar with all of your supplies and kind of give you some guidance on like what to do and what to expect in those first couple of days. Because thank goodness my lactation consultant came to our house, I want to say it was like the day after my son was born, because I would have had no idea what to do. When we met with the lactation consultant, I explained that my ultimate goal at the time was to exclusively nurse my baby. So I had no plans of pumping, and I also didn't think I was going to give him any formula. She had us practicing latching using nipple shields, which are these like silicone covers that go over your nipple, and it just makes it easier for the baby to like latch onto. And because my milk still hadn't come in, we were basically feeding him formula with a syringe like through the nipple shield. So we only really did this for a week, because it kind of takes like 2 people to be able to do it. I would have on the nipple shield and I'd be holding my baby, and then my husband would like push the formula through the syringe like into like a little like corner of the nipple shield so that it would like sit in it, and then my baby could like suck it out. So that system really only worked when we only needed to give him like a really tiny amount of milk in the beginning. Once he like needed more, it was just easier and made more sense to like transition to bottles. So then once my milk finally came in, we were put on a triple feed schedule. So if you don't know what that is, it's when you nurse your baby, you give them a bottle, and you pump. So it's really a lot of work. I would attempt to nurse him, and then I would have to like give him a bottle to make sure that he actually got the milk that he needed, and then I would have to pump to make sure that I had milk ready for like the next feeding. So looking back, I seriously have no idea how I did all of that, especially because I was doing it all on my own, because my husband was like back to work after 1 week. So I was, you know, trying to do all of that while also like holding him and just like taking care of him and like trying to feed myself and do all of this, and like it was honestly really stressful. And I think that is why I had such a low supply, because I was so stressed out like trying to do all of that. I had like no time to eat or rest or like do anything besides like feed my baby and then pump and just like do that cycle over and over. And on top of that, you're having to like track everything. So I'd have to like keep track of like how many minutes did he nurse on each side, and then how much did he drink, and then how much did I pump, and it was like a lot mentally. And then on top of that, if you've done this, you know it's also like so discouraging when maybe your baby is like fighting it, like not latching and like crying during feedings, and then like if you have a low supply, it's like you're so disappointed by like the lack of milk that you're producing, and you're constantly questioning like, should I just like give up on this, but I really want to do it. And yeah, it's just like really hard. So looking back, I am glad that I did all of that, but I will also say, like I already mentioned this, but it really affected me very negatively mentally, and I think I just didn't like know any better, so I just kept doing it because I didn't know what else to do. So now, knowing everything that I know, I don't know if I would like put myself through that again, but I mean, it worked, so I'm happy that I did it. So I think I did that triple feed schedule for like about a month until I built up my supply enough to give him all breast milk. So then once we knew that I could produce enough milk and my baby was like latching pretty good with the nipple shield, we tried to go to just like exclusively nursing. But around the same time that that happened, we finally got in for the appointment to have his lip and tongue tie laser procedure done. And after that, there was like a 2-week period where it felt like we went all the way back to the beginning, where I could not get him to latch at all. And it was just so devastating because I felt like all of that hard work that I put in was just completely erased. And I seriously did not think that my baby was ever gonna be able to nurse again. And it just felt like such a waste, like everything we had already done. But we just kept working at it, and around like 8 or 9 weeks it just clicked and we were able to get rid of the nipple shield. It is just such a pain using those nipple shields because sometimes like they fall off and like your baby's getting frustrated, you're getting frustrated. It's also just annoying to have like that extra piece, when for me the whole reason I wanted to nurse was just for the convenience of being able to just like whip my boob out and feed my baby like right there on the spot. And so it's just like frustrating to have like that extra piece, and you have to clean them, and it's just like a whole thing. Even though I did get to a point where like we could do all breast milk, we did continue just doing 1 bottle of formula before bed because we just noticed he was like sleeping better through the night if we gave him formula before bed. I think like the extra calories were giving him like a longer stretch, I don't know. But we still do that now, and it's kind of nice because it like gives me a little break. My husband can give him that bottle, and then I can like stock up on an extra bottle in the fridge for the next day. So I actually really like that system, and I have like no guilt about doing that. And like I said, my baby is 11 weeks now, so I feel like from 9 weeks to now, in these last 2 weeks, I've really gotten down a really good system. So even though I was happy to be doing like exclusively nursing for like a week, I just realized I actually don't love doing that because like my baby, he's still like not super efficient at nursing, so it like takes a long time. So I have less time like in between feedings to just like play with him or like, you know, let him sleep and have some time to myself. So I'm just now doing like a combination between nursing and pumping for bottles. I typically nurse him for like his first 2 feedings of the day, where we're just like cozy at home and like in no rush. And then throughout the day, I usually pump and do bottles. And then like I said, at night, we do a formula bottle, and then thankfully my baby sleeps through the night. So then we sleep all night and we do it all again the next day. I really hope that sharing my breastfeeding journey is either relatable or encouraging to someone, because like I said, it just doesn't seem like there's a lot of discussion around just like the challenges of feeding a newborn baby in general. Like I feel like there are challenges with breastfeeding, and there's also challenges with formula feeding because you have to like find the right formula that works for your baby. I feel like we're still working on finding the right one, and it's also like expensive. And yeah, it's you wouldn't think it would be so difficult to just like feed your baby, but I'm glad that I kept working at it and that we got breastfeeding to work, because it is like convenient. For instance, today when he just needed like a little snack to soothe him and be able to like fall asleep for a nap, like I'm glad that we have that skill down. But sometimes pumping is more convenient, but at the same time pumping is so hard because you have to like clean all of the parts and you have to make sure you have like the time to do it, and yeah, it's just a whole thing. So no matter how you are feeding your baby, you are doing an amazing job, and I really hope that this video is helpful. Maybe I'll do another update in like a couple more months, but that's how it's been up to this point. And if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to reach out. I'm not like an expert when it comes to breastfeeding or anything having to do with feeding, but I can at least like share my experience. So anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe, and I'll be back very soon with another one. Bye!